given a few thousand literacy and storytelling presentations to children and parents throughout New Hampshire and Vermont since then. Duncan has an MBA from the Tuck School and worked for 7 years as a management consultant in Boston. I was a member of the team that recruited Duncan to our firm, and he still speaks to me. He has also been a freelance writer, teacher, and radio commentator, and is active in local political and environmental campaigns. He lives in Waterbury Center, Vermont, with his wife and son. Duncan, take it away.
Great. I'm going to do a screen share here. Hopefully this will work.
Yep.
How's that?
Good.
Great.
Go back to the start. So it's wonderful to see so many familiar faces. I think I know just about everyone on the screen here. I've been speaking to the Hanover Rotary Club for probably about 20 years now. Was first invited by Tom Hall. And so I contacted Todd to see if it might make sense for me to come back and talk again, because so many things have changed in what we do and in the educational space. So I'm just going to take about 15 minutes to talk about what Cliff has been doing lately and how we have evolved to address the challenges that have come forth with COVID. So our main program is called the Cliff Year of the Book. And that's a program where we give $25,000 grants to elementary schools where a significant portion of children are scoring below standards in reading and writing, and a significant portion of children receive free and reduced lunch. And typically that's about at least 50% in both categories. That's the target audience. That's the kind of school that we like to serve. And we were in March when COVID hit, we were in the midst of serving 10 schools across New Hampshire and Vermont. And of course, all the schools instantly went virtual. And so as part of the sponsorship, the school receives usually 10 to 15 in-person presentations by children's book authors, illustrators, poets, storytellers, graphic novelists. We have 68 professional presenters who live in Vermont or New Hampshire, and we pay them to go out and speak with kids in schools and libraries and shelters and other places. So we had to switch from in-person events to virtual events, and we changed over pretty quickly to Zoom presentations, and we did those for a variety of organizations. And we distributed lots and lots of books because we knew that the kids that we were trying to serve were suddenly in what's called a book desert, because the low-income at-risk kids who are our target audience, they really don't have very many or any books at home. So we kind of changed what we were doing to get every child that we could some new high-quality books. So from when COVID hit in March until the end of the summer, we gave away close to $500,000 worth of brand new children's books. And we did that a variety of ways, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But Year of the Book changed a lot. We went from in-person events to virtual. As part of that program, we also give brand new books for the classrooms, for school libraries, for public libraries, and we give grants to teachers to help them carry out literacy programming. So it was a challenge with that program, but we shifted to a virtual version and ended the year well. This is a pre-COVID presentation. One of our presenters, a children's book author, speaking to kids. And this is just a sample of the kinds of books. As I said, we gave away almost $500,000 worth of books. Last year, the full fiscal year, we gave away almost $900,000 worth of brand new books in total. To low-income, at-risk, and rural kids. And at every presentation, it's very important to us that kids get to choose what they want to read. So we'll lay out hundreds and hundreds of books, and kids get to select whatever they want. And so these are just some pictures of some kids and their selections. We know it's super important to reach not only the kids to help inspire them to become strong readers and writers, but also the adults who support them. So we conduct a lot of presentations for teachers. We have annual free conferences for school principals, teachers, librarians, and reading specialists. And we also have a number of events every year for families. And so a lot of the families that we serve For example, families who are served by Head Start programs, families who live in shelters, parents of inmates, folks like that. A lot of them have low literacy skills. And so we conduct lots and lots of seminars to help them understand why it's critically important to share books with kids, and ways to make it fun and easy, even if an adult is not a strong or confident reader. And that's a very important lesson to give, because since we're sharing children's books, you really don't need to be a top flight reader. You can still share stories and books fantastically and have this same experience, even if you're not a strong reader. So we teach them how to do that. One of our programs is for at-risk populations, and this is a very wide-ranging program that is for homeless shelters, domestic violence shelters, youth centers, Head Start programs, childcare programs, programs for foster kids, migrant kids, children of prison inmates. Wherever kids are at risk, we serve them, and we also serve their parents in the ways that I just described. A lot of those programs have gone virtual, but not all. We've been holding a lot of events when the weather was a little bit better, outdoors, and those have been very successful. This is an example of some refugee new American kids in Burlington who attended a recent event. I mentioned inmates. We have expanded for many years our service for inmates and their children. We now have long-term multi-year partnerships with 5 prisons across New Hampshire and Vermont. We work with the women's prison in South Burlington, the men's prison in Rutland, the men's penitentiary in Concord, New Hampshire, the women's penitentiary in Concord, New Hampshire, and the men's prison up in Berlin, New Hampshire. And each year we probably serve a few thousand inmates, and through them probably many more thousand kids, because each inmate serves on average about 2 or 3 kids. So what do we do in that program? Well, what we do is we give seminars to inmates, again, to help them understand why it's critically important to share books with kids. We teach them ways to share books, even if they're not strong readers. Alas, 70% of US inmates have low literacy skills. And after every seminar, the inmates get to choose a brand new book for each of the children in their lives, whether it be a child, stepchild, a grandchild, or if they don't have kids, they can send them to nieces and nephews. And we ask them after every seminar to write a personal note in each book to make it even more special. And then we take those books, and Cliff volunteers package them up and send them home. This is just an example of one of the notes in the books. We also do family literacy events. So this is at an event at the women's prison, and we have food and entertainment and storytelling and games, and then all the kids get to choose brand new books, and they often do that with their parent or grandparent there. We also have special gatherings. This is an outdoor gathering way up in Berlin, New Hampshire, at the men's prison there, doing storytelling. So we've shifted to a virtual world in this program as well. As I'm sure you know, all the prisons are on lockdown due to COVID risks. And so now I've done recordings. So we send recorded seminars, and inmates on closed caption, closed circuit TV can watch those seminars. Sometimes groups come in and watch them on a big screen TV. And then we ship books to the prison. The inmates get to choose the books, and then we pick them up and we send them out. So actually this week, we're probably sending out books to 400 children of inmates. Next week, it'll probably be another 300-400. So a few thousand kids in December will get books in advance of the holidays from the parent or grandparent or uncle or aunt in prison. Summer Readers is a program we've run for many years, and we try to reach out to kids who don't have access to literacy activities or books in the summer. This summer, it was hard to do events in person because a lot of programs were closed, but we did do a number of events outdoors in fields and such, and through that program, we gave away books to 12,300 kids. So we were very active. I think that was a record for us, because we knew we just had to get out to as many kids as possible since libraries and schools were closed. This is a recent map, just shows you our scope. This is where Cliff has been in a year period. It's not the most recent, but it just gives you a sense of how widely we range, all the way from Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, which some of you may know, all the way down to Hinsdale and Rindge and everywhere in between. We have about 110 people actively involved in CLIF now. This is an example of some of our board members and staff members. We have 68 professional presenters. We have 5 on staff. We have a board of advisors, a board of directors. You probably know a lot of members on those groups. And then we have a large number of volunteers. So overall, I would say it's been challenging during COVID for us to serve our clients, because we're all about being face-to-face with kids. That's really where the magic happens for us, is being able to impart our love of books and stories and reading and writing with a group of kids right in front of us. They can ask questions, they can hear our energy. And we're still doing that. Every week, we've had a new CLIF presenter do an online storytelling for free, which is accessible to anyone. And then we make them all available on our website. We have hundreds of literacy ideas, low cost and no cost, that we've been sharing with families. We've done lots of videos to train parents to be confident and strong readers with their kids. We also have a whole set of videos for caregivers, for child care centers and Head Start program providers. So we've really gone virtual, but we're looking forward to the day not too far away, we hope, when we can be back face-to-face with kids. But we're still serving tons of kids, thousands and thousands of kids. Down below me right now, we probably have 25,000 books getting ready to be shipped out in the next month or two. So we're serving a lot of kids. We're just doing it virtually. For a while, from September to late October, we did lots of events in soccer fields and parking lots, and those were really fun. And then we transitioned to, for example, North Clarendon, Vermont. I went there for a Year of the Book program. And it had snowed the night before, so we had to be indoors. I gave a presentation to 3rd and 4th graders in the gym. They were all spread out, and those were the only folks who could fit in the gym. Kindergarten through grade 1 watched the presentation on live stream from their classrooms, and 5th and 6th grade watched it via Facebook Live from home. So that's the kind of example of the way schools are pivoting and the way we're trying to pivot with them so we can still serve the kids that we're trying to reach. And that's what's going on with CLIF. So I'm going to end the screen sharing and would be happy to answer any questions.
Yep, clicking on the wrong button there. Do you serve kids in the middle or high school age group? And if so, how is it different? If not, are you considering it?
I apologize. I should have defined who we serve in particular. Our target audience is low-income, at-risk, and rural kids from birth to age 12 throughout New Hampshire and Vermont. So no, we don't serve kids older, although in many of our programs, for example, when we go to a shelter or we're serving children of prison inmates or lots of other of our programs, we often see kids 13, 14, 15. So we do have books for them, but that's not our target audience.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Nan, did you have your hand up? Hello again.
Welcome back, Duncan. Great to see you, and kudos that you have just kept CLIF growing and thriving for all these practically decades now. 2 questions about your funding sources these days. If you're sending out $900,000 worth of books, that's a lot of money, and sort of how are you doing with that? And secondly, a little bit about the prison program, which I so admire and know very little about the details of life in incarceration. The people that come to your program that are incarcerated, do they get to choose to come? Are they told to come? And sort of is it a self-selecting audience? And I bet a lot of them might be better off if they had learned to read and were more literate.
If you look at the notes that the inmates write in the books, you can see that a lot of them have trouble reading and writing. And certainly that's a message we hear. Every inmate who comes to our events, and we see them frequently, I've seen some of these inmates and their families for years and years, they come voluntarily. In prison, you cannot force anyone to do anything except not leave. So you can't make anyone go to programs. So they're self-selecting. They want to reach out to the kids. They want to be better parents and better members of the family. And since we see them over and over and over again, some folks I've seen 15, 20 times, they really make huge jumps in their ability to share books, in their confidence, in their connections with families. And we hear over and over again how many inmates have connected to their kids or grandkids or nieces for the first time through these books, because so many bad things had happened in the past and now they're doing something positive and families have opened up to them. So that's great. You were asking, you mentioned about how long we've been going. Cliff has been operating for 23 years. And this past fiscal year, attendance at our events was 48,000 and change. As I said, we gave away about $900,000 worth of books. We buy them obviously at a significant discount. They're all brand new. They're all high quality books. We select book by book, but still that's the value of the books that we give away. And it's a lot of books. 3 days ago, we had a truck show up with 2 pallets of books. I don't know, it's like 6,000 pounds of books. And now we have volunteers all over Waterbury processing the books and getting ready to get them out the door.
How
Yeah.
do you afford to pay 68 storytellers and buy all the books?
With my consulting hat on, we leverage our funds by only paying them when we need them. So they are all members of Cliff, and we contact them. Let's say you live up in Lancaster. We may contact you and say, there's a school in Berlin not too far from you. They'd like a presentation sometime in the next 3 months. Fit it in your schedule and let us know when it's done and we'll pay you. And here's what we'd like you to cover. And so, we have, in any given year, we probably have 40 different presenters who we pay, but we just pay them whenever we need them. And they all get paid the same. And it's not a huge amount, but it's enough to make it worth their while. So that's how we do that.
So, yeah. Well, all this is as a result of the fact that we sponsored you at the Rotary auction, right?
It all flows from that. Absolutely.
It all came out of that.
Yep.
Now, I tell you, I tried to buy every single book that was at the auction, and I'm going to challenge us as Rotary to try to figure out a way to get something going along those lines, so Rotarians can help contribute by way of sort of a direct purchase of books or auction or something like that. Was so terrific.
Well, some people really enjoy being able to buy a book that they loved when they were a kid, or a book that they shared with their children. So that's something a lot of folks do too. And receiving book donations, as long as they're brand new books without religious themes and not related to a TV show, we are happy to receive any great quality books for kids.
Okay.
Ginia, nice to see you.
Thank you, Duncan. I think I've known you probably as long as you've been in the Upper Valley or around.
You and Huntley came to one of our very first events.
And I remember when you were a one-man band, just you.
Just talking to myself, yep.
And I am so impressed with all that's been accomplished over these years. And I know with your fertile imagination, you probably have a thought of something else that you would like to incorporate in Cliff, but what would it be?
Well, right now, my attention is focused on 3 things. One is trying to make sure that we continue serving everyone we want to serve in COVID and keeping everyone safe in that process. The second is that I've been with Cliff for 23 years, and at year 25, I've stated that I'm going to be passing it on to a new leader. So getting ready for that leadership transformation. And thirdly, we're looking for new headquarters because we've run out of space here. So we're actively looking and doing some fundraising for a building campaign so we can get a new Cliff headquarters, and in 2 years, a new leader, and make sure that transition moves as smoothly as possible. Because as all of you know, because you've been involved in nonprofits, a leadership transition can be a tricky thing, and especially with a founding director. Just as background, we've interviewed 17 nonprofits that have gone through a leadership transition, and almost all of them went through transition with a founding director. So we have lots of information and ideas of things that we should do and things that we absolutely shouldn't do. So we're trying to get as smart as we can before we make this transition, because we want it to be successful and smooth.
Quite a challenge.
It is. So that's what's on our plate right now.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Well, as Jed mentioned, the Hanover Rotary Club has been huge supporters, and I think has been supporting Cliff for probably 17, 18 years now. And it's always a pleasure to speak with all of you, and we can't thank you enough for your support. And we're going to keep at it because the kids need it, probably now more than ever, since a lot of them have limited access to some things that they did before. So we thank you. It's a pleasure to talk with you all again, and I wish you best of luck this coming year.
Thank you very much, Duncan. That was a great presentation.